On this episode of the Turnbuckle, Sasha Banks is headed to Wrestle Kingdom 17. There are some scrapped AEW plans for MJF to turn babyface, and Shawn Michaels had his own NXT media call ahead of NXT Deadline. Folks, we're hitting another facebuster into some wrestling news because it's time for the Turnbuckle. Sasha Banks is reportedly going to be at Wrestle Kingdom 17 on January 4th, 2023. According to a report from PW Insider, it is not clear if Banks will be wrestling or even appearing before the live crowd on the show, but NJPW is bringing her to the event. Back in October, Banks teased a potential match with IWGP Women's Champion Kairi. She posted a match graphic to her Instagram stories that Kairi later shared on Twitter. 1 month after sharing the above match graphic, Kairi became the first ever IWGP Women's Champion at a historic X over on November 20th. She defeated Mayu Iwatani in the finals of a tournament to win the title. Triple H was asked about Banks' WWE status during an interview with Ariel Helwani in September. Time will tell, Levesque responded. I think in a lot of ways communication breakdowns are terrible. There was a communication breakdown there for whatever reason. Starting back up that communication is not a difficult process, but it can be a process and you have to go through the process. But she's an unbelievably talented woman who can just do about anything she wants. It just comes down to what does she want to do now. She's an unbelievable performer that I believe in with everything I have. I read some reports last night and people were asking around. I love when they do that. They're like running around. What do you know? You gotta tell me, please. I gotta, quick, come over here, quick. Okay, what about this? I love when they do that. They were asking around and they asked NJPW and, okay, so they were like, is she coming to Wrestle Kingdom? And NJPW was like, we can neither confirm nor deny. And then the report was like, well, usually when it's not true, they immediately say it's not true. So they went up to them and they were like, is she coming? And they were like, I'll never tell. And so they were like, okay. A lot of people are speculating that she's going to be in the ring, and I guess it's probably going to be against Kairi. Listen, if that does end up happening, great, right? Like, that's fantastic. Until we actually see Sasha Banks / Mercedes Varnado, whatever, actually show up, right? Until we actually see her in living color, in the flesh and blood, make her entrance, right? And on top of that, she's in ring gear, then it's like, okay, all right. Now we can absolutely lose our minds. But I think someone put on Twitter the cutscene, in SmackDown's Raw 2011 when like one of the wrestlers like shows up and he does the thing where like puts the ticket. Someone said Sasha's gonna do that. That's really funny, man. Golly. Next, we're going to talk about some scrap plans for MJF's babyface turn. According to Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer detailed the scrap plans in AEW that had to turn MJF into a babyface. Multiple people have noted to us in the past week that there were discussions regarding MJF be the lead face coming out of Full Gear. It was my intuition because the company needed a new hot babyface to really get around, and making a top babyface today is far harder than a top heel. That said, Tony Khan made the call, and at this point, the absolute worst idea would be to turn MJF face now because that window is closed, at least for many more months down the line. It might have missed its peak and all, but you can't say where things will be in 6 months or a year. It would be an obvious like misstep if they tried to turn MJF heel right now. I mean, babyface right now. I honestly don't think that that's what was going to happen at all. I stand by my previous statement saying that MJF was never turning babyface. He had everyone believe that he was turning babyface so that when he does do the heel tactic, then it'll be, more memorable and everything like that. But I never really assumed MJF was going to be a babyface. I don't think that MJF can really do babyface. I think that MJF can just do the swarmy heel that like everybody doesn't like, and that sort of like gets over because they just love MJF as a talent. I still feel like he could lose the title this year on a completely unrelated topic. I don't think the Bidding War 2024 actually needs him to have the title the entire year, but I think if he loses the title during this time, he could have a babyface run and he won't have to worry too much about, the title being too much of a factor, or he could turn babyface and then win the title from a heel, and then the Bidding War has a completely different outlook. You know what I mean? So there's many different ways that you could work with it now, as opposed to like before. But I mean, yeah, right now doesn't really seem like the best time, especially since, like he's just way better at being a heel. So we don't know. Like I said, he could lose lose the title from now until, like, the month of December. So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens. Finally, we're gonna be talking about Shawn Michaels' NXT media call. Ahead of Saturday's WWE NXT deadline, Shawn Michaels spoke to the media Thursday and addressed a question about William Regal. Asked about Regal returning to WWE given Tony Khan's comments Wednesday, Michaels said there is nothing official to announce, but that everyone loves Steve and has nothing but respect for him. Like everyone, he said he has been reading about everything in the media. He also answered a question about X-Pac wrestling in NXT and if that was an option if they were allowed to explore. He would love it as Waltman being involved would be a huge benefit to NXT talent. On the New Day coming to NXT, Michaels indicated they wanted to be for more than a one-off appearance and that Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston are open to those conversations. He would like to keep New Day in NXT as long as we can, and that Woods has wanted to return for quite some time. He said the dialogue for main roster talent to work in NXT has happened in a variety of ways, and that they have all done them. Michaels also confirmed that NXT Vengeance Day will head to Charlotte, North Carolina on Saturday, February 4th, with tickets going on sale next Friday. When asked about national touring, Michaels says that they will see how Vengeance Day does, and they will go from there. They would like to return touring nationwide, but it's to be determined. Finally, Michaels says an NXT Europe announcement is coming, but that the infrastructure is still being put into place. Early on, he expects the US-based team to be very hands-on, but expects himself to have an eventual 10,000-foot view and such over time. So a lot to go over. So the New Day want to stay in NXT. I think I already talked about this. I was worried because it sounds like they're going to win the tag team titles. I don't want them to win the tag team titles. They can stay all they want. They can stay as long as they want, okay? As long as you wipe your feet and you clean up after yourself. I don't care how long you stay. But it's just the fact that they're about to be in a tag team match and now they're talking about staying. And I mean, what better way to stay than to be the tag team champions? But this is like I was talking about with Braun Breaker and Apollo Crews. Like, if Pretty Deadly lose, they can go to the main roster. But I mean, they're not really going to be able to do a whole lot, So national touring, we'll see how Vengeance Day does, which is fair. I see. This is what this, if anything, bolsters my point. They were like, we're going to figure out NXT first. All right, we figured out NXT. Okay, now let's start going into live shows. Okay, we're going to do one, but we're not going to do any. Hold on, wait. I'm going to stop. Let's see how NXT Vengeance Day does. Okay. And before we do anything, depending on how the numbers go, depending on the 18 to 49, depending on the ticket sales and all that sort of stuff, as if we like the numbers that we see, then we will start doing more live shows. Okay, I said this way way back. I was like, you're not going to hear anything about NXT Europe. You're not going to hear a whisper about NXT Europe because it is one of those things that is going to take forever to get figured out because it's a very, very, very large and processy, I don't know, situation that they have to take care of. It takes a very long time for that sort of stuff to get taken care of. You're not going to hear anything about it for the next 6 to 8 months. So don't even worry about it. All right. Cause I know NXT Europe. I'm in there. I'm in the media calls. What do we talk about? Sasha Banks is reportedly going to NJPW again. They have neither confirmed nor denied if she is going to just be there as a guest, if she's going to, we don't know what she's going to do. A lot of people are speculating that she's going to wrestle. I don't want to speculate anything until I either see or hear any type of reports that say otherwise. You know what I'm saying? Like a video comes out and Sasha Banks is she comes up out of the ring. You know what I mean? So we can't really sit here and say this or that or these are going to happen, There was some scrap plans for MJF's face turn. That's probably a good idea. You don't want to do that, especially right now while he's in the middle of being a heel, so you kind of want to wait until I feel as though that it's probably a good idea for him to lose the title, start a babyface run at that point, because that way he doesn't really have anything to worry about, you know what I'm saying? And then he wins the title as a babyface, and then the bidding war could be a different perspective. And Shawn Michaels talked about a media call. He talked about William Regal. Everybody loves Steve. Who doesn't love Steve? Come on. What else? He talked about Vengeance Day. He talked about national touring. Vengeance Day has to do well first. And he talked about NXT Europe, and the infrastructure is still being put into place. So yeah, we're going to have to wait a while before we really hear anything about that. And we're going to have to wait until Steve actually shows up. William Regal, by the way. I don't know why you didn't know that. Also, X-Pac could be potentially wrestling, so we're going to have to wait to see what happens with that. Folks, that's going to do it for this episode. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, because I certainly enjoyed making it. Why do I keep doing this outro? And I'll definitely catch you guys in the next one.